Well. We are here. Chris Mason, what's good? How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Recruiting Intel. You already know who it is. It is Chris with a K, host of the Horns Down podcast, and your guy, Chris Mason, Mr. Sooners 360 himself. Together we come together with. I said together we come together. Wow, we are here without our ace though. I'm sure Jason is watching, or Jason is doing something productive with his life. Regardless, people, we're here to talk recruiting. Chris Mason. It seems like the portal is open and the portal is doing its thing. We've seen guys going there with no contact tags, which I think is absolutely crazy. We've seen guys be predicted to the most predictable places. We've seen guys sign new deals and return to the most predictable spots for them. Avery Johnson. I mean, okay, thank you. But Chris Mason, it seems like OU has some work to do, and OU is being very active right now. I guess we can really start wherever you want to. I'll just throw something out real quick if you want to go with that, or if you want to go somewhere else, whatever you think is most important. But I'd probably talk about the kids that are actually on campus currently, right?
Yes, let's talk about them, and then let's talk about the one big portal exit that we didn't have a chance to talk about yet. And that would be a certain Mr. Finley departing Soonerville. So we can have a quick chat about that as well. So yeah, let's start with the guys that have been reported to be on campus by a couple of sources, and they've also confirmed that OU has offered them. So the name we've been talking about quite a bit would be running back Lloyd Avant from Colorado State, an all-purpose back, special teams guru. As I understand it, OU has targeted him to be their kickoff return specialist. That Miss Doug Deakins, the OU specialist, the OU special teams guy, really likes Avant and really likes what he can do as a return specialist, especially on kickoff returns. It'd be nice if kickoff returns actually could be something to do. So from that aspect, we had some punt return, impact punt returns. It'd be nice to have some impact kickoff returns again.
Did he play at Tulsa?
He did.
Yeah.
So we got a connection there through Kevin Wilson. So kind of a known quantity there. And I'm going to upset some people here. So everyone just prepare for me to upset you. DeMarco Murray is following Lloyd Avant on social media. Okay? I tried to tell you guys that, generally speaking, all of the hints, both in the portal and high school recruiting, indicated that it looked like DeMarco Murray is returning. And I would say him following Lloyd Avant and being added to his running back room and him following him on social media is probably a little bit of a sign that, for right now, DeMarco Murray is probably going to return to the Sooner, is returning with the Sooner coaching staff.
So
Sorry, go
go ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll write down my questions about those two kids, and we'll talk up here in a second. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
then Hayden Hanson, the big tight end from Florida. We've been talking about him for a couple of weeks. He's 6'7", 270, really good blocking tight end. OU thinks like there's probably a little more upside in his pass receiving game from that aspect. He looks like he will be on campus. He's received interest from, other people are kicking the tires, but I'm hoping that OU can lock this down this weekend.
And
And
that's the Florida tight end, right?
the big Florida tight end who abused Texas's defensive ends and set up their running game with their upset win over Texas that kept them out of the college football playoff because Texas sucks. Then it looks like he posted an offer online. It was kind of a new name to me, is Masai King from Akron. He started all 12 games at right tackle for Akron. He's 6'4", 310. He also probably can play guard, and that gives you a flexibility backup piece at tackle, who can also probably provide some interior depth as well. I'm trying to figure out if he has 1 or 2 years, Chris. He has some JUCO playing time, so that I'm not sure. Post Pavia, I'm not sure how to interpret JUCO. in terms of eligibility. So then another guy who announced his OU offer was Cody Sigler from Arkansas State. We've been talking about him. He's 6'3", 300 pounds. He probably could be 310 easily. He's planning visits to Auburn, Penn State, maybe Florida State. This is his first visit. OU's got him first. And generally speaking, Chris, we need to prepare ourselves that you don't want to be last in portal recruiting. Like in high school recruiting, you sometimes want to be last, right? Get the last impression before signing day. With portal recruiting, you want to be first because you may never get a shot if you're last. Guys just may wrap it up and decide to move on. I think OU's pitch to Sigler probably has gotten stronger with the loss of Marcus Strong. I think you can instead of, well, you could be our fourth piece. You're like, well, you'd be our third. You'd be the veteran third piece in our rotation with two younger guys behind you, providing additional pieces. So I think that's a stronger argument for OU from that perspective. So we've touched upon a number of needs, Chris. Running back, tight end. Tucker Ashcraft also might be in town. There's some sense, there's some confusion going on there. OU Insider thinks that maybe is maybe a little more lukewarm on Tucker Ashcraft than they had before.
What's the position?
Tight end. OU wants to add two legit veteran big tight ends in the room. Then they want to add a third piece. They want to add three tight ends. So
I'm sorry, Chris Mason. Say the name again. And
Tucker Ashcraft from Wisconsin.
Got you.
Okay.
What's the measurables on that?
Well, he's 6'5", 260.
Another big boy.
Another big boy. There's a couple other big boys that are kind of in the play there. They're not kind of screwing around on tight ends. They want to at least bring two big tight ends, big blocking tight ends into the scheme. And the first one they want is Hayden Hanson. And then they'd like to get another one, and I think they'd like to get a third tight end as someone who can a little more of a two-way tight end playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So, but those are the guys. That's the initial burst there, and the one position that's interestingly not represented by any visitor right off the bat appears to be wide receiver, and my sources tell me that OU is still waiting for some tight ends to hit the portal.
You mean wide receivers? Or
sorry. Wide receivers. I misspoke. They may be waiting for some tight ends too, but they're definitely waiting for some wide receivers to hit the portal.
So let me go back through my questions, if you don't mind, real quick about the kids that are on campus now. So first one would be with the Avant kid. Is he more all-purpose? Is he more all-purpose than a rotation player? Is he like I'm about to butcher his name. Is he like a Roy Finch, or
he's a little bigger? He's a little bigger than that.
Yeah,
he's 5'10", 200 pounds. So I think Taylor Tatum hit the portal.
Yeah,
OU's down to 4 running backs right now for spring. So I think Avant makes 5. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised to see OU add a second running back from the portal to be 6 running backs. Give OU. They don't want to be in the same position they found themselves in this year. Mm-hmm. They want to make sure that they've got running back depth in case something happens. And I think Avant can enter into that mix from that standpoint.
I'm gonna go watch the film and definitely give you my opinion about the kid. To me, it looked like what they really wanted with this offense. And when I say they, I mean Art Buckle and DeMarco, at least with the running back, was to have that one designated change of pace back, that true change of pace back that, they could throw screens to. You thought that's what you were getting with Ott. I will not say that name. I'll try not to say that name anymore in our time doing these off-season pods. Regardless, though, I think that was a direction that you were trying to go. You go watch the Texas game and some of the games early on, they definitely ran a bunch of screens and different things for him because he had that ability. And those plays looked like they had promise. We just, for whatever reason, couldn't catch the ball. Ball was thrown behind, or whatever the case may be. It was just always something going on with those plays, so we could never really see what those would look like. Guys were getting out there in space, blockers were coming. We know that Arbuckle likes to run some screens and throw some screens in there. But if this guy can be a change of pace back, I think that's what you would hope, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good receiver out of the backfield, so you want to use him. You want to again, you want to OU needs to start using their depth as efficiently as possible, right?
Uh-huh.
If you think you're gonna be a playoff team, you can't be wearing folks out. You can't be wearing folks out without using all of your depth pieces, right? So I think that's where he fits in. You can run him a little bit. He's a weapon out of the backfield as a change of pace, as a receiver. Do some two back stuff with him, and he's also keeping your primary backs off special teams, right? That
Yeah.
he's your kickoff returner. We all remember, ironically enough, DeMarco Murray getting hurt on a kickoff return, right? And that's why he missed the 2008 national championship game against Florida. So from that perspective, I think this is where you got 105 scholarships. Having a specialist in the running back room who can also provide some running back reps makes a lot of sense.
So on the Masai King kid, is he a guy that you can see come in and compete for that tackle spot, or you see him just kind of being a gap filler or somebody who could come in and potentially, maybe feel that guard spot, right guard.
I think you bring him in and you say, look, right tackle is you can compete for right tackle with Ryan Foji. You can compete with Heath Ozetta for right guard. And you can also, and if you want to, we'll also teach you how to play center.
Yeah,
I mean, we will, you need to make, you need to, we need a depth piece. We need a sixth offensive lineman that has some experience. We've got a couple of young offensive linemen behind you that we want to work into the mix and start getting ready to go. But from a certain perspective, I think that's where he fits in. If you have a top five, you're telling Masai King, you're number 6,
hmm
and we're going to cross train you to play 3 positions.
yeah.
And this is going to help you get to the NFL. And this is going to help you be more proven. And this is going to help you. So if I think he probably can have 2 years, Chris. So for instance, let's say Makala is able to handle the center position next year, and then you want to move Heath Ozada to center. I think that's something that makes a lot of sense. And then you can tell King, the next year we'll have an open slot on our offensive line, and you can compete for that. He's a big kid. He's 6'4", 310, 315, and he's played at Akron, which is good MAC football.
Yeah.
There's so I think
Well,
there's a versatile depth piece element to this.
with a king, king, excuse me, with a kid like that, I think that you could. I think the recruiting tool, or excuse me, recruiting pitch that you can use really is just, hey, come and be developed for the next 2 years by arguably the best O line coach in the nation.
Play in the SEC, lots of cameras, lots of good scouting tape.
Yeah.
You're literally first call off the bench. If somebody goes down, we're going to bring you in and we're going to shuffle personnel around and put you in.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, looks like we got some. We got a couple of names that should be coming to campus sometime soon. Do you have any projections about who's going to be who all you expect to be on campus? There is a name out there that I heard, but I don't want to. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that off screen. And no, people, it's not Cam Coleman. I haven't even talked to Chris Mason about that, and I think he'll vouch on this. I think he'll say the same thing as me. Cam Coleman's not coming here. I think that bidding war is up in the air.
well, let's add one caveat to that.
Go ahead.
That is the correct, sensible, conventional wisdom. But if you're Jim Nagy, you're not getting involved in the mess between A&M, Tech, Auburn, Texas, and USC, right? Yeah. You're talking to Coleman's personnel. Go take your visits, and if you're actually at a point where you're ready for last best offers from folks, let me know. But I'm not gonna get into the scrum with these 5 teams and waste my time from that. Okay, that's just not worth it. So I think that's when you could see OU appear, because he wants to take visits, he wants to be wined and dined, and all that. So I think OU's like, look, I did say that, and I stand by what I said. And if OU had $2 million for Cam Coleman, okay, that would make sense. But if the number's jumping to 4.5 and 5, that's something altogether. And Cam Coleman is not worth more than David Stone, Taylor Wine, Kip Lewis. There's other players on OU's roster that they have, assigned money to, and you don't necessarily want to upset all of that by just going to some ridiculous level with Cam Coleman. So I told you OU had money for an offer. The situation obviously is that there are offers, there's big money being thrown around, and there's silly money being suggested online and social media. Just ignore it all, and OU will, if the Cam Coleman situation is at a point where OU can make an offer, expect Jim Nagy to do that once all this recruiting nonsense and whining and dining bullshit between USC, Tech, and all this stuff is done. So it's not gonna. You don't show your hand until it's time to put in last best offers. If you don't understand negotiating from that standpoint, understand that our GM does. He's been an NFL veteran. He understands how you negotiate with players, and you don't negotiate by just chasing some guy, throwing money at him. That's not negotiating. That's stupidity.
Well, all right. Well, again, back to those projections. You got anybody else that you expect to be on campus pretty soon?
Yeah, I think Owen Long should be, probably the linebacker from Colorado State. We've talked about him. Gideon Lampron, the linebacker from Bowling Green. Mm-hmm. It looks like OU's going to be a tough pull for OU to get Xavier Gilliam from Penn State. He's already got visits set up with Indiana and a couple of other places, so that's going to be a tough pull. If things don't go right with Tucker Ashcraft at tight end, I think you could see OU getting involved with the big Swedish tight end from Texas A&M, Theo Mellon Ostrom. And then there's a huge tight end from Germany at UConn that OU might get involved with. He's also 6'7", 270. So they're not messing around there from that standpoint. Other than that, I think we could see maybe Austin Ramsey from Kentucky, a big defensive tackle who's he's 6'4", over 300 pounds. He could be somebody that OU's working to get a visit with if they realize that they may not be a player for Gilliam, because he seems to be flying up the charts. So those are some of the names right now. Again, the one position it's not clear who OU's bringing in is wide receiver, and I think that's because OU is still waiting on some guys to enter the portal.
A lot of guys expected to enter the portal, but you haven't necessarily seen those. I
haven't seen official notice from them. They've not put anything out on social media, etc.
Yeah. So
there's a Clemson defensive tackle, Stephion Green, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's entering the portal. That's a name to think about because OU tried to recruit him out of high school. Todd Bates has connections with his high school setup from Georgia and all that. So that might be a name that you see circle back with OU. I think Nagy is going to deliberately stay under the radar, and we're going to have some surprise names show up in Norman. And it's going to be a quick show up in Norman, verbal to commit to OU, and we're never going to really capture most of this process. They have offered Gideon Lampron. I imagine they have offered Owen Long, and they have offered Owen Chambliss as well. And there's also a Michigan linebacker that hit the portal, Cole Sullivan. I imagine OU will also offer him as well. The question at linebacker is OU still uncertain how many linebackers they need and what their money is to spend at linebacker. There should be, they're going to grab at least one, I think, for depth to work itself out. But I think there's a growing belief that Heineke may win his waiver and OU can re-sign Kip. And if you do that, that obviously limits OU's ability to bring in frontline linebackers because you have two starters returning. And then you've got Sam Omosigo and James Nesta, so that I think OU would bring in at least one guy to fill out that room. But I just think if you could get back Heineke and Kip Lewis, that's almost like a double. That's almost like a double home run from the portal.
No, that would be a double home run from the portal, from a retention standpoint, all of that. But still, you got to go get it. Got to who's the third guy, right? Who's the third man? NWO style. You got to
Sam Omosigo.
Yeah, outside of Sam Omosigo, but you got to go get you another one too, just for depth purposes.
Yeah. And I think that's what they're
yeah,
working
unless
through.
they feel good about Marcus James as well. I mean, it's kind of a wild card. Some on the defensive side of the ball for sure, somebody's going to pop.
Yeah, and there's a guy I think we should probably keep an eye on. He just hit the portal. It's Kobe Sellers from Texas A&M.
Okay.
OU was really I thought he was going to choose OU, but Cortland Guillory kind of snagged his spot instead in the recruiting class. So if you could grab Kobe Sellers, it's almost a 1-for-1 replacement for Malik Hawkins, which would make some sense from a recruiting class and from a DB depth standpoint. He's got some flexibility at cornerback and safety. So that's a name that I think might pop. That would make a lot of sense. Jay Valai. Jay Valai could be like, "Oh, wait, we wanted you then. We want you now," because you could bring him in, and that would basically replace losing Malik Hawkins.
Is there anything on Kobe McKenzie that we should know, or is that's done?
I'm not hearing anything about that. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be. He certainly isn't scheduled to visit anywhere that I know of. So that could be a situation where Kobe's going to let things sit for a week and then decide what he wants to do. And maybe he's waiting for the final word that Kip and Owen are coming back, and then he'll move from there. So I think there are there's some movable pieces there. If those guys don't come, if you lose both of them, then I think you could say, well, Kobe, would you like to come back? Obviously, two of the guys in front of you have that's changed. We've got you and Sam Omosigo, and we'll bring in some guys. I'm not hearing any defensive end depth. I'm hearing much more about defensive tackle. I think OU always wanted the Sigler kid as a depth piece. And then when Marcus Strong left, I felt like that's when the Xavier Gillum started coming up and some other names started appearing and Bates started getting involved with more names. So I think I think Sigler is the guy they want as the rotational piece. Big nose guard, active defensive tackle. That gives you, that's protection insurance against something happening with Wilson and Smith, them just not developing. That gives you three guys to go to war with. I think now that Strong's gone, they're going to want to add another piece into that puzzle.
All right. So keeping it moving, wide receiver, just going back there for a second.
Yep.
Who are some serious names, some serious takes that you can potentially project for OU?
Well, I think that position's still in flux. I don't think OU. I think OU might try and get involved with Parker Livingston from Texas. I think that's a possibility, but I don't see him really getting away from Indiana this weekend. There's a wide receiver from South Dakota that George Stoya has been talking about called Lorenzo Fenner. He had a 1,000-yard season, 15 touchdowns, so he obviously fits the mold of go get a productive guy from the lower levels, which has worked for a number of colleges. I think Omarion Miller, barring some new names hitting the portal, is maybe an area OU would focus on somewhere.
I think that'd be a huge, huge addition to this team. I really like the kid. Shout out to Nick Nino's corner. That is his cousin. We talked about that kid an awful lot. That kid has a lot of promise, and
Yeah,
I'm bullish on him not because of the bias, because obviously, you know,
he got
being
800. Yeah, he got 800 yards in a
yeah,
terrible situation last year.
exactly. The Park and Livingstone thing, that was actually the name I wanted to talk to you about because it was just like, where the hell did that come from? I mean, that
Well, I think there's some weirdness going on with A&M and UT with the portal. Like there are rumors that Marcel Reed has basically come back to A&M with a big number, and they're like, okay, well, that's a nice number, but you didn't exactly have a very good end of the year. So maybe A&M will try and get involved in the Lagway situation or a couple of the other quarterback situations. And then Texas appears to be kind of going all out for Cam Coleman, and they want the Louisville running back who just hit the portal. Um, no contact on that. That looks like a Texas situation. Doesn't look like they're getting the bow kid from Florida. That looks like that maybe he's not going their way. So I think they've just redirected money elsewhere, and Livingston. And the rumor is they've just pissed off the Livingstons, and they're like, okay, see ya. You cut our money. We were the clutch wide receiver that you really had, and you're not really giving us any attention. So we're going to go to the portal and go elsewhere.
he was clearly their one, in my opinion. Now, obviously, the bowl game may be a bit may make you differ. I mean, may beg you to differ a little bit, and I get that. But to me, I think throughout the years, probably the most consistent wide receiver they had. I mean, obviously, we know Wingo with the big play, the explosiveness. If I'm Wingo, I'm looking at somebody like Zachariah Branch and saying, yeah, that's probably more of my style of what to do. But I mean, I think Sark will call a game like that. But you see, wide block 12. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. My guy, our Texas brethren, is in here. He said Livingstone and Hoover from TCU are close family friends. Sound like they are both going to Indiana. You have any disagreements with that, Chris Mason?
No, I mean, in the past it would have sounded silly that Indiana has poached Texas's top wide receiver. But we live in a different world of college football, and if I was Livingston and Indiana was calling me, I think I would dump the Texas offense to go play in the Indiana offense, especially after watching what they just did to Alabama. So I think yeah, that's logical to me. I mean, Hoover seems to be the guy that Indiana's focused on, and that's the Indiana quarterback position for let's just face the new reality of college football. That's a gilded high value quarterback spot.
All right, Texas fans. Hey, love that you guys are here, but we kind of said what we said. I mean, if they didn't cut his money, they didn't cut his money, and also gives a shit who's your top wide receiver. I'm still, this is an OU podcast. We just talking about Livingstone. We're talking to OU fans. Anyways, keep going, Chris Mason. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
I just thought that was an
I,
interesting name. I didn't really see him jumping into the portal. I thought that was pretty weird.
It
But
was. It was a surprise. Texas is having a weird offseason. The tight end the tight end from Cal they got in the spring portals hitting the NFL. They cleaned out their running back room. They're kind of clearing out their offensive line room. They cleaned out their linebacker room a little bit. They're having a weird offseason.
I kind of think
For
this is a win now. I mean, it's a win now type of ordeal for them. I think that obviously, if Sark is going to stay there for the life of that
it's a
10-year
lot of
contract, then
there's a
uh,
lot of pieces they've got to replace. I mean,
yeah,
oh,
but I mean, with Muschamp coming in there, it's fresh for everybody, and then on the other side of the ball, Sark's offense is. I don't think it's super complex for people not to come and pick it up pretty fast. Seems like they can and they will. So, I mean, again, I think that OU and Texas and a few other teams, some of the teams that are playing in the playoffs right now, like Bama, if they keep Ty Simpson and all the rest of them, Chris Mason, Jason, and the thing in the comments too. When we're all on here, I'll tell you guys, a lot of these things we're talking about right now are in championship windows. You have Arch, who's playing at an all-time high. You have Mateer, if he can get it together and show us what he did and be consistent with all of that, and then the team they're going to put around him, because we feel that this defense is going to be really good. You had a championship defense this year. You had a championship defense the past year. There's no reason you shouldn't have another championship level defense next year if you're OU. A lot of teams are in that championship window, so some of these moves that they're making, this is not Colorado to where they're just used to getting new teams every year and just having the pizzazz of a coach. No, a lot of these teams are actually talking championships.
Well, they have a 1 year window with Arch.
Yeah. We have pretty much a 1 year window right now. Bo Bentley's going to be good. We hope so. But the whole thing is
I think our window is really the Taylor Wine, Jaden Jackson, David Stone. If we can bring back Kip or Owen Heineke, Peyton Bowen.
Yeah,
that's kind of our window from my viewpoint.
But my point is that teams are in championship windows.
Yeah.
So they're going to make these moves. Nobody is going to sit there and try to do the whole let's wait 4 or 5 years or whatever the case may be. We feel that
it's 4 years for the official window.
Yeah. Well,
it's 4 years until you can get a window officially.
You're missing the whole point. The point is simply this right here. If you have the players right now, just like this year, the reason why it sucks so much that we lost, it's not anything that Mateer did or anybody else. It's that you had a championship fucking team. Plain and simple. And if you have that, you may have an extra window, more room in that window, but you have to go make those moves now. That's what Texas is doing. It's not necessarily weird. It's just the fact that they're trying to clean house. This is the era that we're in. But again, teams are in championship window. You got to take care of it now, because if you don't, you leave it up to chance. Injuries and all types of things can plague you. That's what's going on. And that's the reason why it's so crucial. Yeah.
I mean, clearing out their running back room completely was a little weird. I mean, a complete wipeout of their running back room was a little odd. And why Bo B, whatever your name is? Yeah, I don't obsess on Texas high school. Why block? I don't obsess on Texas high school recruiting. So fine, whatever. My main point was Chris, is that they've got a lot of pieces they have to replace. On defense, they're losing their linebackers. They let the low fee kid go. Maybe they prefer the young players behind him. They're losing Anthony Hill to the draft. They just lost their tight end position, the Cal kid who could have come back for a year. So, yeah, Texas is obviously looking to make a big splash at wide receiver. And, I think they're going to throw as much money at Cam Coleman as they can. But even Texas has limits. Texas Tech, on some level, has limits. They've also got O-line pieces that they have to replace. Their O-line was a mess. It wasn't very good. Neither was ours. But OU brings back 4 guys and brings back 2 5-star high school tackles that they think are going to solidify that position for us. So when you're looking at, it's like Lance Hurd hit the portal and someone's like, well, why isn't OU going after Lance Hurd? Well, Lance Hurd wants to start.
That number is going to be astronomical as well.
And that number is going to be big. And OU has Fasusi and Foji at the 2 tackle positions. When you see the first guy they brought in is a guy who can play multiple positions, the King kid, and he would be a depth piece. That tells you all you need to know, that OU has Fasusi at left, Foji at right, EPL at left guard, Makala at center, and they're targeting Heath Uzida gets the first swing at right guard in spring. So OU's bringing in depth pieces behind them, but is going into spring with 5 established guys on their front line. And Texas doesn't have that. They've got gaps and they've got problems, and they've got guys hitting the portal as well, just like OU. But the guys they have hitting the portal, you would have thought would have been depth pieces, or at least maybe starters for next year. So I think Texas has more homework to do in the portal than OU does. OU's got one big glaring position they've cleaned out, and that is tight end, and they need to fill that room.
Praise God. And we will talk about that clean out here in a little bit. Chris Mason, what's up with the kid from from UNT, the running back. Can we put that to rest? Is that OSU's to lose? I've seen things where, hey, OSU feels like he's theirs to lose, but also OU and Texas are heavy in that mix.
I obviously OSU is hiring everybody from UNT and moving the entire UNT offense to Stillwater if possible. So depending upon what his ask number is, then yeah, it could be that OSU is the school that's willing to pay that. I'm not sure. I buy is it Mustelmaker? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, which however you say it.
Yeah, however you say it. Not sure I buy the 3.5 million number that's floating around that OSU's paying him per year, but that's what's floating around. If OSU is going to pay that and is going to pay more for the Hawkins kid to get that 1-2 punch moved over, and they've got the coach connection, the position coach. So yeah, I would say it's trending to OSU. I wouldn't shock me if he makes a visit to OU or Texas though, and I think that would have to worry OSU if that happens.
Yeah, yeah, no.
I mean, it's like, and Hollywood Smothers looks like he's going to take a visit to Alabama and FSU. Again, guys, on some point, Nagy is probably waiting for some of this hoopla to die down, and tell me when you're getting down to brass tacks. Tell me when you're getting ready to take a last best offer. And I think OU does. I mean, Hollywood Smothers doesn't need to take a visit to Norman. He doesn't need to meet DeMarco Murray. Okay, so if he goes to these visits and he comes back with a number, and then his representation calls OU, and OU says, "Well, we can't do that number. We can do this number." You could see things strike very quickly. So you just Nagy struck quickly and sort of under radar in spring. All of a sudden, OU had Ott, had Makala. He struck quickly to get Tate Sandell.
Yep.
And then he moved once he was trying to get wide receivers, and the wide receiver spring market went crazy, and then he quickly identified Carter and brought him in, and OU signed him. So I think this isn't the day to be all weird and freaking out. This is going to be a 2 week, at least a 3 week process.
It's the first week of the portal. We have some time. Things are going to happen. Real quick, Trojan Fight and then Sugio English. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. But yeah, with Raleek Brown, what I was reading today about him was that no, he declared for the NFL, and I don't think he changed his mind intentionally. But it looks like his grade came back as a undrafted free agent. So not necessarily sure if that's the actual word, if that's true, but yeah, that's something. But I mean, obviously, we all had dreams of him being in an OU uniform back when Lincoln was recruiting the hell out of California. But I don't know if that's something that goes well. Maybe he goes back. I was surprised that he entered the portal at the very least. I mean, if you got your grades back, just go back to ASU unless you really screw things up there, right? So.
Yeah, or maybe it's a play to get a little more money out of ASU. Can you let's put official Boomer up? Okay, so that's Adam Gorney is just reporting that on social media. That's a name that I remember from recruiting. He's also from Gardena, California. Sarah, the powerhouse. That's a place Stacy Ford has some connections. So that's somebody to think about. It's weird to me that kids are walking away from the playoff, but that's just the way things work. OU is probably, if they can find the right fit, would like to add a safety corner guy because they did the double hit of Malik Hawkins and Devin Jordan kind of puts OU in a place where they'd like to have somebody else. I thought it might be Kobe Sellers because, again, OU was pretty much hit his final two. Dakota Fields. All right. I'm seeing all these old names from recruiting battles. So He would fit. He's 6'2", 190 pounds. He's from Juniper Serra, that powerhouse. He's a freshman, so he's looking for a fresh start. Utilized the redshirt season, so he's probably a redshirt freshman, so he'd have 3 years to play. He was highly recruited, top 100 player in the nation. So if OU has ID'd him as, and again, that's a name I had not heard of before Adam Gorney just said it. So just be aware that the OU front office is in stealth bomber mode. That guys are just going to pop up that we haven't heard about or haven't considered. And Dakota Fields at DB is one of those names. He says he's going to be Adam Gorney, who is the West Coast recruiting guy for On3, one of their guys. So he has connections with Gardena Serra, with their high school guys. So that's how he found out about this. So he'll be here Sunday through Tuesday, and that could be an addition. Again, OU, I talked about resetting the board the last time we met, and DB is one area where I said I could see OU taking a cornerback or a safety. It's a big kid, 6'2", 190. If he can play corner at 6'2", 190, he probably can play safety as well. So he could give you some flexibility there and give you some numbers. And he fits in. He's a redshirt freshman, so he'll be a redshirt sophomore next year. So that's basically the same classification that Devin Jordan would have been, basically.
Interesting. I'm looking at him now. Okay.
So it's we're going to see guys move in and out, and we're going to see guys hit the portal with no contact lists that may end up in Norman. Nagy and his staff have, like I said, Jim Nagy said that they've been working on over 2,000 dossiers on guys they were targeting for this portal season. Mm-hmm. So, and Nagy was renowned for going to the lower levels of football and finding targets that he moved into the Senior Bowl, then moved into the draft. But Chris, there's a defensive end from Gardner-Webb visiting Ohio State. I mean, we're at a position where everybody is looking for talent all across, college football at all levels. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss has basically guaranteed anybody from, is it Ferris State? It's Ferris State. Pretty much any star from Ferris State can now get a Division I offer and thank, Trinidad Chambliss for that, right? Some folks are gonna gamble on Ferris State kids. Then they won the national championship again, I think. So because of what Trinidad Chambliss did last night. Just playing his ass off on a heater, beating Georgia. I mean, looked very, very familiar to Sooner fans, sadly. Mm. I mean, and that's UGA. You did that too, so.
Anyway, so just moving on from all of that, because hey, I don't even want to talk about the season because what Bama did. But anywho, I'll let you and Jason tend to that. But
you want to talk? Joe John?
Yeah, I want to talk Joe John. I was just trying to see, is there anything else in the portal right now? I mean, I think the biggest thing that I heard, honestly, was the fact that there's some wide receivers that you are potentially targeting, but haven't.
Well, there's a guy from NC State, Terrell Anderson, that I think OU's interested in. He's already made a visit to, I think, Miami and LSU. Obviously, Lampron, according to George Stoya on social media, it's just flying around, guys. So I'm just keeping an eye on. Sorry, I'm keeping an eye on social media. He's going to visit OU January 9th and 10th. That's a good addition to the linebacker room. That's depth there. Owen Long, I think OU had him lined up, and then everybody saw, well, OU wants this guy. We should probably go try and track this guy as well. So you're going to see OU, I think, be a little more circumspect about who they're going for. Should not tip as many people off.
That's true.
Once a guy says he's got an offer from Oklahoma, no problem saying that we're pulling him in, and if they go public with it. But I think Nagy wants to be in stealth bomber mode and do no contacts with kids, get them to Norman, get them signed, and not let anybody else have a chance to react and artificially pump up the number.
All right, Chris Mason, let's talk Joe John.
By the way, just for some perspective on Gideon Lampron, he had 119 tackles, 17 and a half tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. So that even at Bowling Green, that's some serious effing production.
Yeah.
That linebacker. But yeah, I mean, Hollywood Smothers wants to go to Bama. FSU wants after him as well. Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces already. I thought Owen Long was a pretty solid name, and I thought Tucker Ashcraft was a solid name, and both of those guys look like they may not be as heavily to OU as we thought. So
Does I saw a name that jumped into the portal today, and I thought to myself, I was like, somebody's going to take a chance on that kid, and they may be able to squeeze something out of him if he still has a little bit of juice left. But the Richard Young kid from Alabama, I thought he probably should have jumped in the portal earlier than what he did, because I don't think that his game.
he was a good kid out of high school. I mean, I was like, wow, that kid's got serious running back game. So yeah, I mean, that could be somebody who OU decides to, they have a relationship with him. They tried to recruit him out of high school. So yeah, they could do that.
I'm not even saying kicking the tires on. I was just saying that I just think somebody's going to be able to get something out of there. At the very least, he could be a bruiser for somebody, But
Well, he's got talent. I mean, you never know when kids are just sort of all over the place. Just
Yeah.
one quick note: the UConn tight end, who is just a physical freak, is Alex Honig from Bavaria. He's 6'7", 270. And I've talked to a couple people, and they say he's very talented. There's a lot of upside there. So he could be in the mix too. So you could have the Swedish guy, the German guy, and Hayden Hansen. I know you just bring in 3 absolute monsters at tight end and just say, we're going to play a little bully ball with our tight ends, and we're going to maybe we let Ruxer and we let the Trene Washington kid. So
that's crazy. That's a good one, Ben G. All right, Chris Mason, let's go ahead and talk about some Joe Junk. Go ahead.
All right, so did I not say this was happening? I don't want to take, too much happiness in someone losing his job. But I told you guys the last time we met that he wasn't involved with recruits, and he wasn't involved with portal guys, and I thought he was on his way out, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's enough. We'll move on from that. So I think 2 names make the most sense, and if it's neither of these names, then OU's going to go wide and far and get the best tight end coach they can find. So the first name that makes sense is Brian Lepak at Kansas State. He was K-State's tight end coach for a couple of years. He produced guys that went to the NFL and were very productive in the K-State tight end game. And we know that K-State's had good tight ends for, last 15 years, and he was part of that mix. He has OU connections. He was an OU grad assistant. I believe his brother is a MD at OU Medical. I may have that wrong, but last year I heard that. So that would make sense on a certain level. He knows the OU staff. He knows Norman. He has experience coaching tight ends at a very good level, and he has some skins on the wall and getting names of guys that he developed that are on NFL rosters. So that would make a lot of sense from the tight end position off the start. Now I've thrown out there the Jason Witten name. I think that could make a lot of sense depending upon which direction you want to go. So we'll see what happens there. That's kind of the splashy, let's get a guy in here that helps us both in high school recruiting, helps us in Dallas. That there are some strategic reasons why that move could work. Obviously, he has not coached at the college level, but he coaches high school football. So he's used to working with young people and developing young people. And he has turned around that private school he coaches at and kind of made them a private school powerhouse. So I think that could make sense. After that, I think you're talking, I think you're Brent asking Nagy and staff, give me the 5 best resumes of available tight end coaches. Now, some of them move before Chris. Before this is if you had let Joe John Finley go last year and you didn't want to hire Brian Lepak, I would have said go offer a bag at the Iowa tight end coach, the Penn State tight end coach, or the Iowa State tight end coach. That's what I've done last year, and first one that grabs the bag is who we want. Now, obviously, the tight end coaches at Iowa State and Penn State, that's kind of a mess and kind of in flux as well. Yes, Mr. Dilligaff, we have talked about Gideon Lampron, so a little bit. So I think overall, that's where we are, Chris. Is that I think it's if you want Brian Lepak, I heard they're already interviewing, that they're moving quickly on this. So Sooner Cowboys again. What I laugh at, Chris, is to go back off the tight end thing in position is folks are both criticizing picking up lower level players, and they're basically glazing Cignetti and Indiana left at the same time. Don't get lower level players. Man, watch what Indiana did. We should copy Indiana. Make up your effing mind, people. Okay, which way do you want to go? But back to tight end is an Alabama coach that has some connections. Alabama tight end coach who has some connections back to Arbuckle.
Is that a current coach or is that a...
Yeah, Brian Ellis. Brian Ellis. He has some connections at Western Kentucky. He's been everywhere. That would be a big pull, a big hire, in my opinion.
He's a current coach.
He's the current tight end coach for Bama.
Oh.
He joined the staff in March 2024 under Kalen DeBoer. He previously has been at Georgia Southern, Western Kentucky, and USC. We won't hold that against him because it was pre-Tebow. So that would be a big, if you're going to go out and drop a bag and try and steal a legit, real name at tight end coach, that would be a name I would take a look at.
Well,
for some reason, Jason's letting us know that Oregon blew out.
I did that.
Oh, sorry. Jason's letting us know that OSU scored 3 points and Texas Tech was shut out by Oregon. Okay, all right. And that field goal was in the first half, so I love that game. So I don't think anything's going on with DeMarco Murray for the reason I just said. Emmett Jones might still be in discussion. So
interesting.
No wide receivers on campus this weekend. Now it could be they're waiting on the unnamed names to come in. Maybe that's the reason why. But every other position where needs need to be filled, we're seeing guys getting scheduled on campus. A DB guy, that makes a lot of sense to backfill some of our losses. O-line guys, tight end guys, a running back, offensive lineman, but no tight ends scheduled to visit Norman yet. So I'm not saying there's anything going on, but it makes me a little suspicious.
So obviously you expect people on campus. I would say obviously you have people on campus now. You'll have people on campus tomorrow, and then it looks like Sunday, Monday, or Sunday through next week is really active for us, huh? Is that's kind of the case? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really active. If you can get Sigler, King at offensive line, and you can get Hayden Hansen at tight end, that if you can walk away, if by Monday, if all those things are moving in the right direction, that's a big win. Those are three guys you targeted to bring in right off the bat. The King thing, again, under the radar. All of a sudden, his agent tells somebody that he's visiting OU, and we're like, who's this guy? We hadn't heard about him at all. And, all the follows everywhere didn't pick up on this name, and then all of a sudden he's visiting OU, and he makes a lot of sense when you talk about what OU wants to add. I think OU probably will add 3 to 4 offensive linemen from the portal guys. If they can find some redshirt freshmen who want to move in, I think they take some couple of dev guys like that. Then I think they also want 2 to 3 guys who are going to be instant depth, provide depth competition to give OU a 5 to give OU a two deep. I hear that Brian Akinkimi, sorry, not Brian Akinkimi, Daniel Akinkimi. Sorry, Dan. Sorry, Daniel. Daniel Akinkimi is going to be back, Chris, and I hear that they like what they see from the rehab and from Darius Afalava. They're going to let both of those guys take two deep spots and be competition guys for the spring.
I would love it.
I mean, Afalava, that would be good. So, again, that would allow you to. I think the Ozetta, the center thing makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. If you could cross train him and that could be your backup center and work from there. So, but we'll see. Also, Nwewu's younger brother is in the portal. He may, according to OU Insider, that was maybe somebody who was OU will look at, although maybe Oklahoma State is in the lead there. But I think OU will probably try and convince him to visit. And I think if you were Nweiwu, if you were Fabechi, you'd be telling your younger brother, things worked out great for me at OU. Why go to Oklahoma State and all that mess? Come to OU. You've got some development years. Let's make that happen. So, but I think that's now the name we should consider is Nweiwu's younger brother, who Comedia, I think is how you say it. And I instantly know that it's going to be butchered into a STD name, but that's what his first name is. It's like Cymdia. So just letting you know that's automatically how our fans are going to butcher his name if we do sign him. But that's another kid that would be considered. The tight end thing is interesting, Chris, because I do think OU has three directions to go. LePac has a lot of connections, regional connections. It'd be a very simple hire, but maybe you don't want to go with an OU alum for this spot. OU alum maybe not making so much sense, and maybe you go with you try and find someone like the Bama tight end coach or somebody else that has a strong profile, and you can spend money there. We need a tight end coach, bringing in a veteran guy who can shore up that position and reduce that weakness makes a lot of sense. So if I was OU, maybe I'd throw some money at the tight end coach at Bama, Brian Ellis, and make him say no.
All right. You got any other portal notes, OU related, or just any thoughts about the general portal? What's going on now?
It sounds like Amarian Robinson. I think they've locked down that retention contract.
Okay.
Still wait. I think the only name out there on the defense that's still uncertain is Jaden Hardy. I do not know what the status of Zion Kearney or Ivan Carrion are.
Okay.
That seems to have gone from probably thought they were going to hit the portal to don't quite know where they are. But based upon everything else, I think for the most part we've seen all the losses except for maybe Jaden Hardy, and that would be a loss because he's a good player at safety.
What about Raggins?
I think that's just a scheduling issue for his announcement.
Okay. Hardy, huh?
Jaden Hardy. Yeah, I mean he's just like Devon Jordan, right? He's like third or fourth piece, right? And Amarian Robinson's right behind him, and you got the other pieces in there. So I think some teams are probably trying to offer him some cash, and OU's like, look, you're a starter piece for us. You're a co-starter. It's the co-starter thing works when you're in season and everyone's getting reps. But then when your representation is saying, well, you could be a starter somewhere else, and I'm getting offers from other people. OU saying well, you're a co-starter, probably, for kids' egos, probably doesn't quite work as well.
Yeah.
We're all human, right? Someone telling you can be a starter for more money versus OU saying you're a co-starter for less money. Some kids are definitely going to let that drive their behavior.
Yeah.
Other kids aren't. I mean, other kids aren't. So from that perspective, but that's where it looks like where we are. Like I said, the two big pieces seem to be Owen Long, seems to have some folks trying to offer him big time money, where OU is kind of like, well, until we know what's going on with Kip and Owen, we can't really match that. And then I'd hoped OU could get into the Xavier Gilliam race, but that looks like his profile's gone sky high, and a bunch of teams are going to be able to offer him a legit starting
Yeah.
spot.
Let's talk about that just before we jump off of here. The three probably biggest retention pieces right now that we could talk about outside of possibly getting Marcus Strong back or maybe Kobe back, I guess. But it would obviously be Kip, Mateer, and
Owen.
Owen Heineke. So obviously with Owen Heineke's situation, you say there's growing belief that he's going to be able to get that waiver or whatever from the NCAA to play another year. So we'll discuss that. But Kip and Mateer have yet to announce their return, or however you want to say it in this day and age. I mean, what's going on with that?
I wonder if OU's kind of organizing a little bit of a media
Scrum, yeah.
well, media blitz like they did for, maybe they're putting some video together for Kip to come back the same way they did for Stutz.
Yeah.
I think Mateer's obviously coming back based upon the Michael Hawkins decision, and maybe he doesn't feel like he needs to say he's coming back. Like, do I need to say something? I have eligibility. I'm on the team. Do I need to actually say anything? And then I think same thing with Satania. Satania was apparently at the Oregon game. Yeah, I have that. Yeah, the Oregon game. And some folks are all concerned that he's going to Texas Tech based upon that. He was there with Giovanni Gibson watching the game. I don't know there's much to worry about. But I think, maybe Satania the same thing. OU wants to put together a little video package and hype up their return. So Mateer got paid last year. He has a 2-year contract. OU isn't upping his pay. I don't think they're cutting his pay. That's why you sign a 2-year contract.
All right. Well, people, we've been on here for an hour. We always do this show for a good time, not a long time. So we're going to end it there. As always, any big news that pops and drops tomorrow? Well, wait a minute. Do we need to talk about? No. Everybody knows Tatum. I think we all expected Tatum to jump into the portal. So, I think that was it. So, no, with that being said, people, we're going to end it here. But if anything big pops off,
Chris and I are in constant communication from Portal Combat headquarters in Atlanta and the Oklahoma area. If big crap happens, we'll be back here as soon as we can organize our schedules too. Otherwise,
I'm right here in Norman. If we land a big fish out of the portal, trust and believe, I'll be there at the airport at the Norman airport. Actually, I live like right up the street from
with your camera. So, but guys, we'll if things are just sort of humming along without any big changes, we'll be back Monday with a big update for you.
All right. Well,
also, guys, high school recruiting Under Armour game is on YouTube tomorrow at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern, like 3 Central. They'll replay it as well, but if you want to watch it live, if you're obsessed like me, it's a YouTube live broadcast because ESPN has the NFL games tomorrow at 4, so high school All-American game isn't exactly getting a lot of their attention. So, and OU has a couple of guys, has some guys in that game playing, so it should be interesting to watch to see if they can get in the game and make some impact. Jake Krell being the number one guy. It'd be nice to see him. He's had a big week. He's looked great, beating up offensive linemen 100 pounds heavier than him all week. So.
All right, I'm not even gonna get on the Jackson Arnold stuff.